The sound of rain filled the small therapy office as Ethan Walker, a 34-year-old single dad, stared at the overdue bills on his desk. His son's medical expenses were piling up. His ex-wife had disappeared years ago. And despite helping others heal every day, Ethan couldn't fix his own life. Just then, the door creaked open. A woman in a sharp white suit and diamond watch stepped inside, confident, composed, and clearly out of place in this part of town. Her presence carried money, power, and pain. "Mr. Walker," she said softly. "I need a therapist. But not for me, for my son." Ethan gestured toward the chair, trying not to show how nervous he was. He'd seen wealthy clients before, but something about her eyes, cold yet deeply sad, told him this wasn't going to be a typical session. Part 1, The Billionaire's Request. Her name was Isabella Kane, CEO of a multibillion-dollar tech empire. Her 10-year-old son, Aiden, hadn't spoken a word since witnessing a traumatic car accident a year earlier. She had hired the best therapists money could buy, but none could reach him. "I heard about you," Isabella said. "You specialize in children with trauma." Ethan nodded. "I try my best." Then she said something that almost made him laugh out loud. "I'll pay you $5 million, if you can help my son speak again. But you'll need to live with us for 1 week." Ethan froze. $5 million for 1 week, that was more than he'd make in a lifetime. He tried to keep his voice steady. "Ms. Kane, I don't take cases for money. Therapy doesn't work that way." Her tone sharpened. "It's not about money. It's about time. I have 7 days before a court hearing decides if my son will be taken from me. He needs to talk. Please." Ethan saw the desperation behind her walls of pride. And against every instinct screaming "this is crazy," he said yes. Part 2, The Mansion of Silence. The next morning, a black limousine arrived outside Ethan's small apartment. His son Noah, age 8, waved goodbye before going to school. "Be good, Dad," Noah said, smiling through the missing teeth of childhood. Ethan smiled back. "Always." When he arrived at Isabella's mansion, he felt like stepping into another world: endless marble floors, guards, and a silence that echoed money, and emptiness. Aiden sat alone in a giant playroom, building towers from blocks, never looking up, never speaking. Ethan knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy," he said softly. "I'm Ethan." No response. Just a quick flick of Aiden's eyes, then back to the blocks. For hours, Ethan stayed. He didn't ask questions. He just built blocks beside the boy, matching his rhythm. It wasn't about words. It was about trust. From a distance, Isabella watched on camera. For the first time in months, she saw her son not recoil from someone new. Part 3, Breaking Walls. By the third day, Ethan had become part of the household. He'd make Aiden breakfast, walk him in the garden, and tell silent stories using drawings. At dinner, Isabella joined them. She rarely ate with anyone, but something about Ethan's patience disarmed her. She watched him laugh quietly as Aiden nodded at a silly cartoon drawing. "You're good with him," Isabella said, swirling her wine. "I just listen," Ethan replied. "Sometimes silence says more than words." Isabella smiled, a rare, tired smile. "You sound like someone who's lost something too." He hesitated. Then quietly said, "My wife. Car accident. She didn't make it." Her eyes softened. "I'm sorry." Ethan shrugged gently. "No need. It taught me to value what's still here. That night, Isabella found herself thinking about his words long after the lights went out. Part 4, The Storm and the Secret. On the fifth night, a storm rolled over the mansion. Thunder crashed, lightning flickered, and power went out. Aidan began to tremble. Ethan rushed to him, wrapping him in a blanket. "It's okay, buddy. You're safe." Then Aidan whispered the first word in a year. "Mom." Isabella froze in the doorway, tears flooding her eyes. Her son had spoken. She dropped to her knees, hugging him tightly. "I'm here, baby. I'm here." Ethan turned away, trying to hide the emotion in his own eyes. But the next morning, Isabella called him to her office. Her tone was distant again. "Mr. Walker," she said coldly. "I appreciate your help. The deal was for 1 week. You've done it? Here's your check." He looked at the envelope, then back at her. "Keep it," he said quietly. "You can't buy healing, Isabella." And with that, he walked out. Part 5, 1 week later. Back in his small apartment, Ethan returned to life with his son Noah. He told himself it was over another case, another heart he couldn't save completely. But one evening, as he and Noah shared dinner, there was a knock at the door. It was Isabella dressed simply, no makeup, no guards. And beside her stood Aidan, holding a crayon drawing. He handed it to Ethan. It was a picture of 3 people holding hands: Aidan, Isabella, and Ethan. At the bottom, the boy had written, "Thank you for giving me back my voice." Isabella's voice broke. "He talks about you every day. You didn't just help him, Ethan. You helped me." Ethan smiled softly. "I just listened." She shook her head. "You did more than that. You reminded me what love feels like." Part 6, The Twist and the Truth. As weeks passed, Isabella began visiting more often, sometimes with Aidan, sometimes alone. She'd bring cookies for Noah, or books for Ethan's tiny office. One evening, while the kids played outside, she finally confessed. "The reason I offered you that money wasn't just desperation. I wanted to see if anyone cared about my son without being paid to." Ethan looked at her gently. "You were testing kindness." She nodded. "And you passed." There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "Maybe it's time I stopped paying people to stay, and started inviting them to stay because they want to." Ethan smiled. "Then maybe I'll stay, because I want to." Their eyes met, not as billionaire and therapist, but as 2 broken souls who had finally begun to heal. Epilogue, 1 year later. 1 year later, the Kane mansion wasn't silent anymore. Aidan laughed freely as he and Noah chased each other through the garden. Isabella and Ethan watched from the porch, coffee in hand, warmth in their eyes. She turned to him. "Do you ever think about that first day?" He chuckled. $5 million for 1 week. Still sounds insane." She smiled. "Best investment I ever made." He raised an eyebrow. "You mean emotionally?" She grinned. "No, I meant, us." The camera would pull back here, the mansion bathed in golden sunset, children's laughter echoing. And a simple truth lingering in the air, speech balloons: sometimes the richest hearts are found in the poorest moments. Ending note message. Kindness doesn't come with a price tag. Healing begins when love replaces loneliness. And sometimes, all it takes is 1 week to change forever.